Time are one of the interesting in science, however, when we try to it to the world, challenges it faces are very big, especially from a physical and logical in video. We will discuss one of the most mysterious and interesting. In the can we really go back to past or even go to how can physical law allow time travel? And why, even this idea has been in the fiction for centuries, we still can't create it? To understand why time cannot be created, we need to understand how time itself works in framework of especially in the theory relativity developed by Albert Einstein. In the theory of relativity, time is something that runs absolutely as in the Newtonian, but rather part of the structure of time that is related to. Einstein explains in A of Relativity that time does move at the same for everyone, but depends on relative for other. The faster a person moves closer to speed of light, slower the he compared to observer. This phenomenon is known as time example. If an astronaut travels at a close to the speed of light for several years and returns to Earth, he may only live few years, while on Earth it has been decades. The phenomenon of dilatation has been proven through experiments. One of the famous was done in the 1971 by Joseph Havel and Richard Keating, where they used the cesium to measure time between the clock that flown with aircraft and the clock that remains on the show. That time on the clock on the aircraft moves slower. According to a relativity theory, this experiment shows that the future technically makes it possible, even though the effect is very small at the speed we can achieve at the moment. Relativity doesn't just stop there. In general relativity, Einstein expands it by adding gravity. It describes gravity not as a form, but as a cycle of time that is caused by time. In this concept, time is also influenced by gravity, which is known as the dilatation of gravitational time. The stronger the in a place, the slower time goes. This phenomenon has been verified, for example, through the clock at the A mountain that moves little faster than the clock on the of the time, because the field is weaker at a level. However, time that is made by the theory relativity is different from the past time travel. One of the main reasons is the of time example. Imagine someone returning to the past to prevent his grandmother from, if he succeeds, he will never be born. And if he never born, then he will be able to the past. This is an of a grandfather's that not only causes logical but also violates the principle of causality, namely the natural law that states that cause must precede the consequences. In modern, causality is one of the that cannot be violated. Theoretically, is another way to facilitate passage of time in the past, such as through wormhole. Someone can jump through space or time and appear in a place that is much faster than what is conventionally. However, although is interesting, existence of a wormhole is still speculative. One of main reasons why wormholes are hard to in reality is in theory, wormholes can be very fragile and prone to interference. To the hole stable, need an exotic with a negative theoretically, has a strong to keep the spiral hole open. We have found in our, and even if did, we don't have technology to control it. Without this exotic, the spiral hole will collapse before an object can pass through it. It's important to note that some physicists like Kip Thorne have tried to explore the possibility of time through a wormhole. Thorne and his studied this concept mathematically and theoretically. However, they also realized major challenges, especially in matter of existence and the control of exotic. For example, a study suggests that if we can control a wormhole and maintain its, then time travel through a hole-in could be possible. However, this is still based on theory and far from reality. Here is the importance of the chronology which was derived by Stephen Hawking. This hypothesis states that the universe has a mechanism to prevent the occurrence of travel in past. Hawking believes that if time travel in the past is possible, we'll create a causality that can destroy the universe. To prevent this, the physical law naturally will create conditions that needed for time to be impossible. One way this hypothesis works is through what is called quantum fluctuation. In relativity, to past requires a distortion of extremes such as a hole or closed time-like curves. That allows the journey back to the however on a quantum scale. Fluctuation in space will be very large, causing the collapse of the structure before the time travel can occur. In other words, the protects itself from the possibility of a time paradox, making the condition for time travel unstable. Hawking also underlined that, although mathematical for time exist in relativity, many of these require negative or other exotic conditions that physically unrealistic. For example, the needed to create a stable with an end that allows time travel to the past can reach a number that is close zero. In addition, if they're an object that tries to through a spiral hole like that, a small can cause the hole to collapse. Experiments have done to understand the nature of space-time. For example, in Large Hadron Collider, LHC, in CERN, scientists there created an energy between particles to simulate the extreme conditions that may be in the universe. Several speculative state that the of space-time, such as the formation of micro, can occur there. However, far there has evidence that the experiment could open up way for time in although the theory relativity gives us extraordinary of the nature of time, limitations of technology, and laws of physics. Time machines remain in the realm of imagination. Experiments such as atomic and research on wormholes show that time is possible, but time travel, especially in past, still face a shortage of logic, technology, and natural law. Hypothesis of chronological gives impression that even if the universe appears to be time theoretically, natural will always appear to prevent the violation of causality. The time remains one of the mysteries that may one day be broken if our understanding of the universe develops far beyond what we have now.